financial literacy, and the human condition. Welcome to Financial Fitness with the Money Doctor, Dr. Francis Rayam.
Hi, it's Francis. I just wanted to take a minute to thank you for watching this video. If you're catching us on YouTube, please help us help others by clicking like, subscribe, and all notifications so you don't miss any videos. And check back for the next video. I think you're going to love it. Thanks again. For more information, you can visit us at hugyourmoney.com.
Welcome to Financial Fitness. I'm Jess Tyler, along with the Money Doctor, Dr. Francis Rayam. Hi.
Hi, Jess. How are you?
I am good. I'm rearing to go today. What are we talking about?
Well, I mean, it's in the news is in the weather all the time right now about the hurricanes and people in North Carolina and Florida that are really hit by these things. And certainly our heart goes out to everybody that's struggling with this. But I think we need to talk about donations, charitable donations that are legit and ones that are not, and how to do the research and tell the difference. Even the people who are in those areas who have been hit by hurricanes are experiencing challenges, trying to sort out whether it's a legitimate contractor asking for their money or it's not. So this is just the worst of the worst. When they say don't kick somebody when they're down. This is when false charities come out of the woodwork and when unscrupulous people start to take deposits to do work on your home and they're not ever going to show up and they just take your money and abscond with it. Everybody's quick to blame the insurance companies immediately. And I think they can handle their share of blame. But what I want to talk about, at least in the first part of the show today, is how to do a little research and make sure that you are donating to the right places, and that your donation is in fact tax deductible if it's a real charitable location. And for people on the ground, a few things they can do to find a reputable contractor, because everybody's scrambling. And the first thing they tell you, I mean, I have clients in both these states, right? And the first thing they'll tell you is, but it's so hard to get somebody. And we can't get the insurance money until we hire the people and they give us a quote. And it's just round and round and round about trying to get someone to repair the damage and what they start off quoting and what they end up charging. And it really turns out to be a lot like, well, let's just say it, blackmail, right? A lot like extortion. Yeah. And to that end, I will say that I received a letter we'll talk about in the second half probably of this show that really read like an extortion letter. It had threats, lots of threats. And I will share this language with people because I want them to recognize if they get an email like this, it's like the old-fashioned chain letters were. So we'll talk about that too. But first, let's talk about the poor people that have been hit by a hurricane or flood or some other disaster and what's going on in those areas in terms of scammers, right? Scammers.
Yeah, I will say I think we're talking about two different things. So I just want to separate them. I've been covering a lot of what's going on in Asheville, North Carolina. So there are two different things. There are big organizations that you think that if you're donating to, say, a United Way or a Beloved Asheville or whatever the name of it is, making sure that that's a legitimate charity versus then contractors too, which is a different thing that you have to worry about scams. But what's really sad is that even officials in Buncombe County, which is where Asheville is, are having to take time out of their daily pressings where they're recovering bodies and all of that to warn people to not fall for these scams. So it's happening there right now as we speak.
Yeah, it's really crazy. And as you know, this show, although we do it on WHMP radio, right, it gets published across the country on public access stations everywhere. And I actually have a client in Asheville who I've not been able to reach. I've called her. I haven't been able to reach her. So Max, if you're listening and you hear this, please call Francis. Please call me and let me know that you're okay. She's a brave sort of woman who would chase bears off of her porch with brooms and things while I was on the phone with her. She's a tough woman, but I just hope that she's okay. So there are two different things. Let's talk about the contractor thing first. I think it's the easiest to sort out of this. The thing that preys on people the most is your emotions, right? Your emotions are what's going to cause you to make a knee-jerk decision. And it's the same in this letter I was telling you about with the threats, right? You want to act quickly to save yourself from something. And because contractors are so overloaded, people have a sense that they're not going to be able to get their place repaired. And the longer it stays unrepaired, the more
Mhm.
damage is done. And so the
Right.
insurance companies love to say you need to mitigate damage or we're not going to pay for additional damage. How do you mitigate damage if you can't get a contractor?
Mhm.
So the local contractors that people know and trust are busy instantly. If they're not in trouble themselves. So what
Right.
happens is contractors come in from other states. Oh, there's an opportunity to go do work here. Now they may be legitimate contractors. You may get your work done. And they may just be people who show up and give you a good quote and are good schmoozers. And they say, I require half up front and half later or a deposit up front. You give them money, you never hear from them again.
Mhm. And it
How do you
happens so often.
It happens really often. And unfortunately, because the insurance companies pay you usually as by reimbursing you, it's
Mhm.
usually your money that you gave out of pocket to pay somebody.
Yeah.
So the very first thing I want you to do is talk to your insurance company. When somebody comes to give you a quote, or before they come to give you a quote, call the insurance company and say, do you have a list of reputable contractors in my area that I can trust to do this work? And
Mhm.
many insurance companies will. They won't recommend somebody, but they'll have a list. Okay, these are the people that we know of that we've worked with in the past. They're legitimate. If you get a quote from them, we're going to probably pay your claim based on that quote. Um, what's really hard is people that show up and they say, okay, so here's a good way to catch this scam. Somebody shows up in your driveway or on your property and they say, I can see your property's badly damaged. We've been up the road doing work on another damaged property, which, they're not going to tell you exactly where it was and you're not going to be able to check it out. But it's always this kind of
Mhm.
story, or often, we've been doing work up the road on this property and we got a lot of leftover siding, leftover shingles, can't use them. I mean, as long as you don't mind black shingles on your house, we can give you a great discount.
This reminds me of the show we did on the pavement where they were trying to pave the driveways with the extra
You remember
pavement. And
that?
I do. And it was a total scam.
Total scam. That's right. And so, gee, it's a great discount, but we got to use up the materials. We don't want to
Mhm.
drag it back to the store. We bought it and can't return it. There's some excuse as to why they have some way to help you out.
And it's real hard to return a paved driveway after you get it done when they're trying to
Well,
charge you more.
you know what? In the end, because we helped that guy ended up with a free paved driveway
Oh,
because
good for
because they
you.
couldn't take
Yeah.
his pavement back and we weren't going to agree to pay him, right? But
Oh,
we
good.
did that for him and that was it. And as far as I know, nobody else got scammed after that. So that was a good outcome, but it's so difficult for people, especially if you've got something like a leaky roof. What do you do
Mhm.
with a leaky roof? You've got to mitigate that damage. So start by calling your insurance company and say, is there some list of contractors? Now, one of the best pieces of advice I can give you if you have an insurance claim like this is to maybe contact a private insurance adjuster. Now, most people don't know this exists. We've done a show where we've had one of these people on as a guest.
Yep.
Um, Private insurance adjuster, just look them up in what used to be the yellow pages, right? Go Google them, whatever. Call your state and say who's licensed as a private insurance adjuster here and talk to them. Their job is to go to bat for you. They will likely have contractors in your area who not only that you can trust, but that they
Mhm.
will work with to get you the best prices, to get the most money out of the insurance company because they make money based on your insurance claim. So
Mhm.
rather than charge you up front, although some will charge you up front for consultation, but they'll have a clean contract. You can look at the contract and say, okay, I'm going to pay a consultation fee. But for the most part, these guys go to bat for you, men and women, go to bat for you, and they take a part of the cut. But they do their job. Now, some are better than others, as always. But you want to talk about taking a load of stress off your shoulders? Think
Mhm.
about just call a private insurance adjuster and say, here's what's going on with my property. What do you think you can help me with? And find out. They will be overloaded too, and they will want to try and help you. So you might have to be a little patient. But when things like this happen, I know the gentleman that we had on the show, Rick, he is in areas like he lives in North Carolina. So when
Mhm.
this kind of thing happens, he'll be up day and night, he and his wife just processing claims, trying to get quotes on houses, doing tests that the insurance agents wouldn't have done, the insurance adjusters wouldn't do, like is there
Yeah.
moisture in your walls, things like that. So it's really
Um,
worthwhile to do that for contractors.
we didn't talk about this before, but what would you say if you go about that? How much should you spend on an insurance adjuster? How much is too much to spend on that?
Well, different adjusters will charge you different percentages, but most of them work on, say, a 10 or 20%, usually 10% cut of what your insurance company is paying you. And they usually get your claim up there because they do all these tests and prove all this stuff and they go to bat rather than the insurance company sending out an adjuster who feels like they work for you, but whose job is really to give you a quote on the repair of the house. But face it, if they don't work well for the insurance company, they're not going to get many of these gigs.
Yeah.
So, it's not that they're completely, unobjective, but get somebody on your side. It doesn't cost you
But
anything to get a consult from these people usually.
okay. What I was going to ask you though is like for an insurance adjuster, say they take 10%. Does that mean that out of your pocket you got to pay 10%? Or does that mean that they find a contractor that will take 90% of what the insurance pays and they take the 10%?
Oh, interesting.
Does that make sense?
No, it's sort of, yes, but no, the contractors are going to get paid the full amount. The insurance company is going to pay a full claim, and the adjuster is going to take 10% of the claim.
Okay, so that's not you out of pocket.
Well, I mean, you can look at it that way if you want, but no, it's not out of pocket up front. So let's say the insurance adjuster comes in and says, look, the damage to your house looks like it's about $65,000.
Mm-hmm.
Private adjuster, and sometimes they're called public adjusters, may come in and say, $65,000, are you kidding me? You have a policy limit of 250,000 and I'm looking at damage here that I think is going to be 150 easy. And they go to bat and they negotiate with the insurance company. And they say,
more
look,
money.
yes, up to the policy limit. And so based on that, they take 10%. It's in their best interest to negotiate as high as they can for a claim because they're getting 10% of it. Meanwhile, you are probably going to make out a lot better financially. And I know the insurance companies will hate me for saying this, but it's a little bit of stress off your mind. You got a professional to help you. This is the way things work. I know how the system works. Let's do this. Okay.
And if you go with an insurance adjuster from the insurance company, chances are they're going to be erring on the side of the insurance company.
It's tough to say. I mean, I had a claim here once on my own, and they sent out a wonderful adjuster. And I did not get the sense that she was trying to cut corners at all. In fact, I remember her standing in my hallway and saying to the person on the phone at the insurance company who was arguing with her these exact words. I don't think you understand. This woman has no children and her house is white. We will pay. Quote unquote, we will pay. So not all insurance adjusters are heartless, people, but I think it's always good to have somebody on your side if you can, because the other claim I had was in North Carolina and I'd been hit by a hurricane with a house at the beach and couldn't get one of the policies to pay anything. I mean, it was really a disaster. And one of the policies said, you have $1,200 of damage. $1,200. I mean, all the siding was off the house. It was insane. Yeah. And the insurance adjuster was able to go to bat, get the claim done, get the house sided. And I'm 800 miles away. So that was a private adjuster that solved that problem. And I think it's worth thinking about. So we should consider that, but we should talk about the charities and this extortion letter I got so that people know what to watch out for and where to do a little research about these things too.
All right. First of all, let's get your phone number.
Certainly. It's 413-773-3333.
And you can go to hugyourmoney.com. We'll be back with part 2 of Financial Fitness with the Money Doctor, Dr. Francis Ram, coming up on WHMP.
Financial Fitness with the Money Doctor is sponsored by Hug Your Money. So unique, it's patented. Financial coaching and more information at hugyourmoney.com.
Welcome back to Financial Fitness. I'm Jess Tyler along with the Money Doctor, Dr. Francis Ram. Hi.
Hi, Jess. Thanks for staying with me on this. I got on kind of a rant about contractors, but I think it's just so important for people who are, have damage to their property that they know how they can get some help and try not to get taken advantage of by unscrupulous people. On the other side of the coin, however, are the people that are kind-hearted that want to help them out by donating some time or some money. For the most part, people who are donating their time are doing it out of the goodness of their heart. Donating money is a great thing if you can afford to do it and you want to help people in a difficult situation. Unfortunately, you need to make sure that you are donating to a reputable organization because scammers are very cunning. We talk about this all the time. They know exactly how to get money out of your pocket. And when
Yeah.
there is an emotional disaster, a natural disaster, or some sort of emotional thing where people are in trouble, then scammers tend to hit first, believe it or not, seniors. They get their lists out of seniors and
I know, it's awful. It's just
they go
awful.
after people with Social Security checks living on fixed incomes, right? And
Mhm.
then they just go down the line. I mean, and today with the internet and all the things that they can do, robots and AI, they've run amok. Um,
Yeah.
even the robocalls, even if you get a person, never mind a robot, they can cloak their phone number so it looks like somebody in your local area, right?
Right.
I mean, how many times have you picked up the phone, you think it's somebody and it's some telemarketer, and there's this pause before the person comes on the line, and then they want to scam you, and
Mhm.
they will always tug on your emotions. They'll always be vague about how your money is going to be donated. They won't give you specifics, what your donations are going to do. They'll
Right.
they'll be vague. They'll be sentimental. Gee, thank you so much for helping us out. Sometimes they will call you and say, "We really appreciate your previous donation, which you never made." Right?
Mhm.
And we're just asking you to donate again to our charity. Now, if you get somebody on the phone who is busy or confused or donates to a lot of different charities, they may not recognize whether they made that donation or they don't. So they say, "Oh, yeah, this is the same place I donated to last week. Okay, yeah, I'll give you a little more money." And it's not the same place at all. They
Would you
use,
advise to not donate if someone calls you up, like cold calls you, and
yeah,
go instead to an actual legitimate website that you type into your browser?
I absolutely would advise that. And you would think by now that everybody would know this. But I
Mhm.
will tell you, when you get somebody on the phone who looks and who sounds like they're from your local area,
Legit. Yeah.
and they have your local area code, and they're talking away at you, and
Mhm.
how's your day today? Oh, you're so fortunate. We are blessed. We're better than, I mean, I've heard all the pitches, right?
It's easy to
Because
get
I let
sucked
them
in,
go.
and yeah, easy to get sucked in. And also, if you're an older person, you're happy to have like someone calling to talk to you and chat, and
Some
you
older
know,
people,
some
some are very, very busy and, don't
yeah.
have time to talk. I heard a great line in a movie the other day. Somebody called them at home and they didn't want to be called. And they said, "Would you mind giving me your home phone number?" And the person said, "No, I'm not giving you my home phone number." And they said, "Ah, that's probably because you don't want people to call you at home, right? Now you know how I feel."
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
that was great. So anyway, they'll cloak their number. They'll use names that sound like a legitimate charity. They won't stumble like I'm doing right now talking. But there'll be some bogus organization, and maybe they'll even claim that your deduction is tax deductible. I mean, your donation is tax deductible.
Mhm.
But you know what? Your donation isn't going to be tax deductible if you pay it to a bogus company.
Right.
So you need to do some research. If they're doing something like guaranteeing you a sweepstakes entry, that's not only a scam, it's illegal. They can't guarantee that
Okay.
you're going to win a sweepstakes if you donate to this charity, right?
Mhm.
Um, so there's one thing you can do. First of all, I want you to report this stuff. You can report it to reportfraud.ftc.gov. And
Okay.
if you're looking for your state charity regulator, it's NASCONET,
Okay.
NASCOnet.org. So you could go right there. Heck, somebody calls you, and what you do is you say, "Hey, I'm sorry, I don't donate without checking up on you. Give me your charity name." And then you go to NASCONET.org and you
Well,
look them up.
you'll probably realize too if they quickly get off the phone after that.
Yeah, but they've gotten really tenacious, Jess.
Mm.
People have reported to me that they said no, 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 and the people just kept at them. But wait,
So they
you
don't
don't
scare off
understand.
easily.
Yeah, until finally some people will pay money to get them off the phone because they feel agitated.
Uh, yeah.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right, $20. I'll give you $20, and then they go away. So you certainly do not want to give them cash. You do not want to pay them online, and you do not want to send them a cryptocurrency.
Mhm.
If you're going to donate to any charity, a legitimate charity will take a check or a credit card. My recommendation is to put a credit card in the middle. And then if there's a problem, you can call your credit card company and say, "I have a problem with this charge. I don't think it was legit." And the credit card company will erase the charge for you, right?
Okay.
Okay, places you can research: BBB, Charity Navigator, Charity Watch, Candid, FTC. I mean, your Attorney General's office, that NASCONet I was telling you about. you name it, you can research there. If you want, there's a great report that the FTC puts out called Donating Through Crowdfunding, Social Media, and Fundraising Platforms. And just go to ftc.gov, type in charity scams, and you'll come up with that. Okay. So please, please, please do that kind of thing. Now, I promised you.
I want to hear about this letter. Yes.
Oh my gosh. So I won't show it completely on the air because it has some of my information on it, but it came to me in an email looking like this, complete with a picture.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's it?
The picture is supposed to be my address. Okay. So
Okay.
let's talk about this letter. All right. First of all, the beginning paragraph, the opening paragraph is bolded, a clear sign that it has been tacked on to a typical scam letter. All right.
Okay.
It starts with my name, not my first name, my first and last name, comma. Okay. Who addresses a letter? It's clearly sent out by an email poster, and it doesn't have an email address you can chase. It's got a string for an email address and you can't chase it, and it's not signed. So if you try to research it, it's just some scammer's email that's here today, gone tomorrow. They used a temporary email address, like the kind I use when I'm buying something and I don't want to give up my email, and then it's gone in 15 minutes. So you're not going to find these people, right? Okay. Here's after the paragraph that says, I know that calling you, and they list my phone number, or visiting, and they list my address, would be a convenient way to reach you if you don't act. Threat number one, first sentence. This is a convenient way to reach you.
If you don't get back to them, they're going to show up. And they have a picture, which seems a little stalkerish.
Oh, you aren't kidding. Okay. Don't even try to escape from this is the second line. You have no idea what I'm capable of and they put your town in. This reminds me of those old Mad Libs when we were little kids and we would fill in the blank, right? Okay. Yeah. Now, I won't read this whole letter to you, but there are some important points. It's important you pay attention. Also, the grammar is not the best. It's important you pay attention to this message right now. Okay, here's that sense of urgency we talk about. Take a moment to chill and breathe, right? Here's the emotion, okay? And analyze it thoroughly. We're talking about something serious here. And I ain't playing games. All right?
I didn't think this letter was going to be so threatening.
Oh, it's bad. You do not know anything about me. However, I know you, and you must be thinking, how, right? Then they go on to say, you've been browsing the internet and you've been treading on thin ice. I'm paraphrasing here. And you've been stumbling across some not so safe sites. All right. Now, who hasn't stumbled across some site they didn't mean to go to? Okay. And then they say, I actually placed a malware on a website. There's more detail than I'm giving here on a website which you accessed. And now I've been, while you were watching these videos, I was able to start operating your device as a remote device. And now I can look at everything on your screen, flick on your camera and mic, and you wouldn't have a clue. Oh, and I've got access to all your emails, contacts, and social media accounts too. Now, there's 3 more threatening paragraphs, and finally it gets to the point. And the point is, transfer amount $1,950 to my Bitcoin address. Okay?
Wow.
Followed by, once you pay up, you'll sleep like a baby. And my favorite part of this letter, I keep my word.
Oh, now, is this something you go to the police over, or is this just a Better Business Bureau?
Good luck. The saddest part about this is, I've been to the police about things like this in the past. They can't trace it. They're busy, doing hard crimes that they can catch in their own town. So yes, I reported it to the Federal Trade Commission. Yes, I reported it to the Better Business Bureau. Yes, I said it was a scam email and block it for the future. But, this one in particular was pretty bad because there really wasn't much of a way to trace it. I'm a pretty good techie and, you can be chasing your tail for a long time here.
That seemed super aggressive too, by the way. I mean, I can just imagine, like, you have a certain kind of personality. So you saw it, you knew what it was about. But I could see somebody getting that and really it's scaring them.
It's awful because you know what I did? I read it, printed it out, wrote radio on the top of it and said, oh, I'm so going on.
I'm going to save it for this. Yeah.
So good.
So did they just Google a picture of your address, do you think, to get the picture?
Oh yeah, we're not done yet.
Okay.
So now it says after the once you pay up, you'll sleep like a baby. I keep my word. It says notice. colon in bold letters. You got 1 day to sort this out. And I will only accept Bitcoin. I have a specific pixel in this email message. And right now I've been notified that you've read through this email. This email and the Bitcoin address are custom made for you. And they actually have the nerve to use the word untraceable in the letter. Of course, it's untraceable if you send somebody Bitcoin. That's the point of Bitcoin. Do not send Bitcoin. Then it goes on to say, if you're not familiar with Bitcoin, you can Google it and you can find a Bitcoin ATM in your neighborhood. There's no point in replying to this email or negotiating. My price point is fixed. Let's see. Once you pay me, you'll sleep like a baby. And then it says, as soon as you send the complete payment, my system will inform me and I will wipe out all the dirt I got on you.
Where are you supposed to send the payment to? And is that traceable?
No, it's not traceable. It's a Bitcoin address. So they give you this string.
Bitcoin address. Okay.
It's a Bitcoin address. And they give you this string that's, 1 million characters long, right? Remember, if I suspect, they go back to threats. If I suspect that you shared or discussed this message with someone else, your video, apparently that they've taken, will start getting sent to your contacts, and I will post a physical tape to all your neighborhood next week. What? This thing's just coming off the wheels by this point, right? And don't even think about turning off your phone or resetting it to factory settings. It's pointless. I don't make mistakes, and they tack my name on again. Okay. Then they post a picture, which no doubt, if you have my address, you can get a picture of the street. It's not close. It's not my house. It's several houses up and across the street. They post a picture of it and they say, see you here, ? Then, honestly, those online tips about covering your camera aren't as useless as they seem. Now I'm waiting for my payment. They're still waiting for their payment, I might add. I mean, what the heck are you thinking? Yet, $1,950 is very specific. There's a lot of threat in there. If you happen to be somebody who might be looking at websites you shouldn't be looking at, you're going to say, oh my gosh, they got something here, right?
Yeah.
I have a little camera thing on all my devices. They don't know that. It's just a little plastic thing. You just slide it over when you don't want to be on camera. So they don't know that I have that. So they're saying, oh, you better get one of these camera things. But I know I have it. So if you get an email and it sounds anything like that, do not give them any money. Definitely do not give money through Bitcoin. I'm sorry, but Bitcoin exists to not be traceable. It reminds me of the show we did with the man, Edward, who got taken for $4,000 because somebody called him and said that they were calling from my Boston office.
Yes.
And he had to go buy gift cards, and he did it. Yeah. No, stop. Think. Here's my closing quote on this. If you are thinking about making a financial decision and you feel your emotions bubble up, step away. Nothing will happen to you by backing up for a moment and thinking calmly and doing a little research. And there's a lot of danger that can come from you acting impulsively. I know it's especially hard with charities because you want to feel good. And the people on the ends of the phone or in the emails do what they can to help you feel good while they're taking your money from you.
Right.
So do not let them separate you from your money, and definitely don't do it with Bitcoin.
Well, if you get a letter like that, or if you have any other questions, what phone number can they call you at?
Okay. No Bitcoin, no cryptocurrency, no gift cards, checks, credit cards. They can reach us at 413-773-3333.
And you can go to hugyourmoney.com. We'll be back next week with another edition of Financial Fitness with the Money Doctor, Dr. Francis Ram, right here on WHMP.
Financial Fitness with the Money Doctor is sponsored by Hug Your Money. So unique, it's patented. Financial coaching and more information at hugyourmoney.com.